Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Roselle. I work with iteach, and we are here today with Lashawna Broussard. Good morning.
Good morning.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us for what we are calling iteach Live. And iteach Live, all it is 30 minutes each day. I get to sit down with another teacher or educator, administrator. We've had the variety so far and talk about your experiences as a teacher and kind of your background. And the audience today that will be listening is fellow teachers, as well as individuals who might want to become teachers in the future. So with that in mind, I kind of want to understand your background of how you got into teaching and what was the rationale for getting into the profession.
Well, just like every little girl, we all have a dream of being a teacher. We idolize our teachers. I come from a family of educators, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to become a teacher. I can remember as far back playing with my stuffed animals, teaching them and stuff like that. Well, fast forward a few years, when I first went to college, my major was nursing. Believe it or not, my major was nursing. And I went on with that for about 2 years. And I was like, I said, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I'm squeamish around blood. This is just not for me. So I went into general studies and I started subbing. And I really enjoyed it. So when I graduated college, I got my first teaching job in special education. SPED is a high needs area. Certification is really not required. So I got the job, and there was this one student. Her name was Brittany, and she just touched me. Like, I just saw her with her disability, and she just wanted to give up. And I was like, no, baby, you got to keep going. And I built a relationship with her, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this for the long term. And that's what kicked it off. It was all about this special student, Brittany, and I still remember her from years ago. Sweetest little girl.
It's interesting you say that. So far in the conversations we've had that I've had the privilege of having on iteach Live, it seems like each teacher can point back to that moment where they either were confirmed that teaching was the right decision or changed their perspective about teaching and getting into the profession. So I think your story of Brittany resonates with a lot of teachers of whether it's a teacher they had in the past or a student while they were in aide that really kind of codified the decision to become a teacher and affirm that career pursuit. That's fantastic. And the fact that you still remember her and I imagine bring her memory into your classroom for sure, right?
Right.
So are you a special ed teacher or what are you teaching now?
I teach kindergarten.
Oh, the little ones.
The little ones.
And you have been teaching for 5 years now?
9.
9 years. And has it always been at the kindergarten level?
No.
Okay.
I've been teaching kindergarten for 6 years.
Gotcha. And what is your favorite joys of the kindergarten classroom?
Just the excitement of the littles. They come in every day and it's like they're just excited and eager to learn. They're happy to see me. They're happy to be at school. So it pumps me up. It makes me feel excited. It's almost as if they're my little cheerleaders.
Is there challenges that come with that excitement as well? And how do you deal with that?
Yes, there are many challenges. With little ones, they can come in either happy or sad. If mom told them no that morning, I'm going to hear about it at school. They're going to bring in their sadness, that little rain cloud. You can almost see it over their little heads. They come in, it's like, uh-oh, baby, what's the matter? You got to kind of give them the pep talk while trying to wrangle like 19 other kids. And yeah, it's a challenge at times, but it's very rewarding.
So I know in the teaching profession, there's a lot of different priorities that teachers have outside the actual content, whether that's empowerment or student engagement or building the relationships between teachers and students. And I want to talk to you a little bit about relationship building with all students, but especially your kindergartens. Is that a priority to you, and why is relationships a priority?
I feel that relationships are a priority because if you don't get to know that child, then 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have any interest in what you're trying to tell them. You have to build their trust first, build that relationship first. Then they'll open up. It's like a little flower, they'll just blossom. I can remember as far back to my school years, just having that special teacher that took time with me, and it made me want to work hard for that teacher. I remember my kindergarten teacher, her name was Miss Boatwright. She was from Australia.
So you talk about building that trust and relationship first as a priority in the classroom. How do you do that? How do you build trust in the relationships with those little ones?
Just taking time out to talk to them, especially at the beginning of the school year. You see, I'm fortunate. As a kindergarten teacher, when they come in, I get to meet them individually by themselves because I have to do their beginning of the year testing. Well, during that time, I get to really talk to them, ask them like, oh, well, have you been in school before? Are you excited? And tell me about you, tell me about your family, and just getting to know them. So on that first day of school, it's not like, oh my gosh, scary monster teacher, they're taking me away from my mom.
Right.
No, they've already met me, and I've already kind of built that foundation with them from that point. So I love the fact that I get to see them on an individual basis prior to the start of school. Plus, I'm fortunate, the parish that I teach in, they do staggered entry. So I get half of my class one day and half of my class the second day. So the first day it's a small group of students, and I get to really just take time and get to talk with them some more. We do our little introductions, and I have my little PowerPoint, and I take pictures of them when they come for their testing. So when it's their turn, I'll put their little picture up, and they're like, oh, well, that's me. I'm excited. I get to talk. I get to share. So just getting to know your kids makes a world of difference.
Yeah, for sure.
My philosophy is building relationships, build brains.
There you go. And how do you measure that? So you pour into your first day meeting, that staggered entry, and you're deliberate in some of your methods to gain trust. How do you measure that? How do you check in to ensure that you have gained it, or you are gaining that trust throughout the first couple of days, weeks, and then over the course of the school year?
I find that over all my years of teaching the little ones, you know they love you when you get that hug. That hug. The hugs tell it all. I could think back to my very first year of teaching kindergarten, and I had this one little student, and she cried. I mean, she cried every day constantly for 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight, cried constantly every day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just felt so bogged down. I was like, oh gosh, I want to have a meltdown, but I can't have a meltdown. I have other kids to. And I remember just, pulling her to the side. And I would tell her every day, baby, it's going to be okay. You're going to get to see mama at 3:00, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And I guess one day it just clicked, and she came in one day happy, gave me the hug. And I was like, oh, I got her. She loves me. So yeah. Just reassuring them, being there for them, makes them feel more comfortable.
Yeah. I was talking to a teacher either yesterday or a couple of days ago, and they talked about seeing no response and any kind of engagement by the student until week 6 of the school year. And so you just mentioned your student 2 weeks. You have any advice for teachers of being patient and persistent for those students that might take a little longer to warm up in terms of relationship or engagement?
Just continue. Just keep trying with that child. You have to think about it from their perspective. This helps. Put yourself in your student's shoes. You're a 5-6-year-old child coming into school for the first time. You're used to being with mom all day. It's scary. There are kids in your class you probably don't know. There's this teacher here. There's this room. You don't know what you're expected to do. And all that's on their mind is, when is mama coming to get me?
Yeah.
But as a teacher, you have to stand firm. You have to just continue to try and break down that wall. Kids come in with little walls too, break down that wall. Try to gain their trust by just showing them that you care. Give them hugs. The tone of the voice helps. the tone of don't get frustrated. I'm just like, baby, you know, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Don't give up on them. Just keep trying. Keep trying. Take a little time out during the day to pull them to the side. Make them feel special.
Mm.
Be like, hey, you want to come sit down with Miss Broussard for a little while? We can draw and talk, you know.
Yeah.
Just find time in your day to connect with them.
And that's super helpful. You provide a unique experience having not just the first day of school for that year, you are entering the first day of school for a lot of these kids, which what a massive shift for those kids. And so you're dealing with not just coming off of summer, but coming off of, 5 years of being at home. And so that's interesting to hear your perspective on that. Now, you've made the jump to other grade levels. What's different at the higher levels coming into the school year in your experience than the little kids?
Okay. With the older children, they've already been, what's the word? They've already been jaded by past experiences. They maybe had a bad year. They had a teacher that they felt probably always picked on them or fussed at them. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm not that same teacher. So it's a little harder to break down the wall that they've built up because they've spent years building it up. I saw it at the middle school level. I saw it at the high school level. With the littles, it's a little different. You have the chance to build that positive experience for them. And you hope that it would carry on throughout their future years of learning. But with the older ones, it's just a little tougher because they might have had a bad experience that's really going to stick with them.
It's really interesting you say that about the mindset that they come into the classroom and use the word jaded, which is, I think, a really accurate word to use, because it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that as you're pouring into kindergartens, you're also, in a way, setting the stage for home learning as well.
Exactly. I
Because
totally agree.
Because I was talking to another teacher on this broadcast about just later in life, parents that might not value education as high. When you're a teenager and you totally understand your parents' disposition to learning, that can come into the classroom. Whereas as a 5-6-year-old coming into kindergarten, they might not understand their parents' disposition to their learning. And if they're coming home excited about what Miss Broussard taught them that day, then maybe that can start a snowball effect that the parents then can encourage ongoing. So it seems like you're doing no small part to help teachers in the future provide less jaded students to them.
Right.
So
Also, I feel that, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say it's also, you mentioned the parents, it's also important for the parents to be involved. I teach kindergarten, so I'm always seeking for ways to get parents involved, whether it's through a phone call. I encourage parents to pop in and visit, just come in and peek and see what your kids, it makes the world of difference. They are so excited when they see mom or daddy come to see them at school. It just brings it all home for them, I guess, that, wow, my learning is important and I'm doing a good job here at school.
You're encouraging me right now because my 5-year-old in kindergarten was super excited. They have a thing called International Night where they work on a project, and then the parents come and they get to see what they've learned about their country or continent. And my son was super excited for me just to be in his school building. Like, I think it was just me coming into his world and showing excitement. And for me, it was like, okay, I've seen a classroom before, but for him, it was his classroom. This is where he's learning. And so it invited me in, and the smile on his face, I mean, I hope he has that smile every day in the classroom, but to tug me around his school building to show me all different parts of his classroom and where he even goes to the bathroom. It just seemed like he was giving me a tour of his life that was his, and it was uniquely his.
Right.
And so it seems super important for parents to take part in that and experience that kid-like joy they have of learning in your classroom.
I agree. Totally.
I kind of want to learn more about what you do for parental involvement. It seems so crucial at that level. You invite them in, and you certainly have parent-teacher conference. What other strategies that do you employ to help parents get involved?
Okay, well, at the kindergarten level, when we have like little celebrations like our 100th day of school,
Mhm.
I plan little activities and I invite the parents to come in and do activities with their kids. Or, I might have a parent volunteer come in and be like, hey, you want to help out with this and that, just get to spend some time with your child at school and get to meet the other kids. My school also has family night. So all the parents get to come in and see just the different things their child is learning, play games and stuff, just make it fun, just to draw the parents in because they must be invested in their child's education as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't just, the learning doesn't stop at school, it
Right.
continues at home.
Right. And student learning is exponentially increased by the support system around them. And so that's you, the teacher, the parent, the administrative staff, everyone is that kid's support system to cultivate learning. Now, you teach in Louisiana, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned the word parish. I'm sure for some of our listeners that probably stood out to them to hear the word parish. What parish are you in?
Iberia Parish.
Okay. So when it comes to Louisiana, for those who don't know, they've taken from a state level a massive initiative to empower mentor teachers. It's a pretty significant program to prioritize, to train, to empower mentor teachers. And you serve as a mentor teacher for your school, correct?
I do.
Tell me about that work and what it is, first of all, for maybe new teachers that don't know what a mentor is. And then we'll talk more about more specifics about that.
Okay. A mentor teacher is a teacher who supports new teachers, whether they're new to teaching or new to a grade level. I provide support to them by conducting walkthrough observations, giving them feedback on what I saw, how they can improve upon it. They can also come and sit and watch me, you know, take notes on my teaching methods and see if it's useful in their classroom. Besides the observations and the feedback, I'm just there for them. I'm a listening ear. Teaching is tough. It's hard, even for teachers who've been doing it for a while. It's tough. It's a challenging profession, and every year provides a new experience. So, as a mentor teacher, they can come to me and just lay out all their frustrations, and I listen and I provide feedback and give them tips to help improve their teaching practices. Aside from mentor teaching, I also serve on my school's leadership team. And what we do is we just make sure that our teachers are supported, they're getting everything they need, and if they need anything, we're always here for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I think the mentoring program Louisiana has in place is incredibly important from our perspective as we certify teachers. We obviously have a field supervisor come in and do observations of new teachers, but
Right.
that's in addition to or in tandem with the mentor teacher aspect. So for anyone looking at certification programs, that's separate roles. There's a field supervisor from your program, whether it's iteach or otherwise, and then there's actually support systems on campus with you, and you are currently serving in that capacity. How many are you assigned a number of teachers? Or are you just like a general resource, or how does that work in terms of new teachers coming in?
Yes. I'm assigned teachers. I'm assigned pre-K and K. So those are the two grade levels that I'm assigned to. So I support all of the teachers that teach pre-K and kindergarten. There's also another mentor teacher on our team, and she provides support to teachers in grades 1 and 2.
That's great. And then, and speaking about like creating a support system on campus as a mentor, you provide information and feedback and help for individuals in a classroom. They can come to your classroom, mentioned, or you go through their walkthrough. Is there any times that you're providing help outside the classroom in terms of work-life balance or dealing with an administration, or do you get into those type things with the new teachers?
Oh, gosh, yes. One of the teachers that I mentored this year, She had struggles with just how do you balance it all. I'm behind on grading my papers. Help, help, help. And I'm like, okay, just stop, calm down. You have to make yourself a schedule. I still have a visual schedule. Even with the world events that's going on now, I have a schedule that I follow at home. Having a schedule is important and you must stick to it. So I really preach to my teachers, hey, make a schedule for yourself, stick to it. Life happens, I understand that, but make sure you tick off all your boxes so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Once you become overwhelmed, you're no good for yourself or the student. So always make sure that you're feeling okay and all your ducks are in a row, like my mom would say.
I personally live by checklists and to-dos, and one, it structures my day, but two, it really kind of makes me feel accomplished. I can look back and say, oh, I actually did some things today, because I get to check those off. And so I think it's a great strategy to employ in terms of, here's your structure. You're going to get through the day, and at the end of the day, you're going to accomplish a lot. But look at it each individual day. Don't take the entire school year on day one. You have that first day to worry about.
Right. Exactly.
What do you think, as you've had the opportunity to support a lot of new teachers, do you see like just one kind of big mistake or a prevailing, like, man, I wish they would do this differently first year? Like what is maybe a trap or something that you could tell a first year teacher not to make?
Oh my gosh. Don't strive for perfection. Do not strive for perfection your first year because you're going to disappoint yourself.
Mm,
I see lots of new teachers coming in eager, they're excited, their room is decorated. Then the kids come in and we see the cracks starting to form with the classroom management, with the feeling overwhelmed and just not having a set routine. So, if I can give any knowledge or wisdom to new teachers, it's make sure that you focus on management and schedules and routines. That will help you to run an efficient classroom and keep your so yeah, just management and procedures and routines.
I think that's really great for a first year teacher to come in and knowing that perfection is unattainable and it's something that's probably a waste of time coming in. Uh, and so I'm wondering if those teaching challenges change as you become more familiar with the classroom and more experienced. Like what challenges, apart from obviously the current situation, which is a unique challenge in and of itself, but when you came into the 2019, 2020 school year, what was the biggest challenge that you were facing, and what was your strategy to get over that?
Wow, let's see. When I began the 2019-2020 school year, I had just moved from another school.
Mm,
Prior to this school year, we merged. I teach in a small town, and there were two elementary schools being utilized, and it was just straining the school's budget. It was unnecessary, so they closed down one of the schools, and we
mm,
had to merge.
okay.
That lasted for 1 year. Then we went back to the school that I was at previously. So dealing with having to unpack a classroom all over again that you had been in for years, that was a challenge. Um, just starting the school year itself is challenging. Even though I've been teaching for a while, you still have new challenges to face every single year, whether it's learning a new curriculum, getting your room straight, new directives from your administrator or changing administrators. I had an administrator change this year. Lots of changes for me this year. So
Yeah.
the challenge was moving back to my old school, unpacking, second month of school, my administrator leaves, we get a new administrator. So it was a challenging start to my year, but I made it through.
You bring up a lot of changes, and I imagine that's kind of been your experience through several of your years. You've changed classrooms, you've changed grade levels, you've changed schools, and so it seems like from what I'm hearing from you and other experiences, teachers have to be ready for some change and be able to deal with change, which is always difficult. But teachers have to be adaptable to that change, right?
Right. It's not just, you're going to face challenges every single day, whether it's with student behaviors, whether it's with what's going on at your school at the current time. Changes are, it's going to happen. What you can do is prepare yourself for how you respond to those changes.
Right.
Don't expect everything to be the same. Change happens. If you're going to be a teacher, expect that every day is going to be different. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I was about to say, and that one of the joys of teaching is that there's no boring day in the classroom.
No, every day is a new challenge.
So Lashawna, we're coming up on my requested 30 minutes of your time. I know there might be some people watching on Facebook. If you have a comment, you can certainly, or have a question for Lashawna, ask it away, and we'll do our best to ask her of anything that you would want to pick her brain about. But waiting to see if there's any questions. I have a question for you. What's the best advice you've ever been given as a teacher that you've taken through your years of teaching?
If you can survive the first year, you can survive anything. And this advice was given to me directly from my administrator, because I struggled my first year. It was tough. And she told me, she said, if you can make it through this year, you can make it to next year. And as you go on, the years will get easier and easier and easier. And it did.
It's interesting to say that. Is there any tangible things that get easier? Like, if I'm a first year teacher, if I'm watching this video, I'm a first year teacher, what are some of the things that you can tell me will get easier? Because I think you're right. I think it gets easier. What would you tell a first year teacher, like, these things specifically that are going to be tough will get easier? What are those things?
Just your management. You'll learn what works the first year, what doesn't. Teaching. Your teaching practices will get easier.
Yeah.
You'll learn how to present a lesson after your first year. Well, okay, this didn't work. Let me try this. So presenting content will get easier. Management will get easier. Just balancing teacher life and home life will get easier, because you kind of know what to expect that second year. It's not going to be smooth sailing, but it will be a lot easier than your first year. Just don't give up. Don't give up. And if you want to be a teacher, it's the most rewarding profession. I mean, we're not rich by any means, but the love you get from the kids makes you feel rich.
Well, that's fantastic. Lashawna, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me about teaching. I'm confident that some of the things you've said are going to be really impactful to our viewers. And I just appreciate you just being transparent and some of the things that you've gone through and the experiences you've had, and also letting us have some free advice from your experience as a mentor. I certainly took notes, and I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lashawna, I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
And be safe and well.
You as well.
Thank you.